Angry Bears Fan Podcast, episode 63. We are a week removed from one of the biggest moves in Bears history. I'm kind of over it. Not too much hard. I mean, there's really nothing we could do about it. I think Justin, like I said, when we talked about this in the beginning, I think the Steelers was the best place for him to go. So he's there, and we'll see. You know what I mean? I'll be rooting for him. I rooted for Mitch when he went there, and when they left, and when Jay Cutler left, and Hester, and everyone. So it is what it is. On to Caleb again. I watched Pro Day. It was nothing crazy. I mean, it's just a scripted thing. There's no Zach Wilson like throws where they're like, "Oh my god," but he showed a lot of poise. You know what I mean? It's a big day. Um, but it just the Bears were there in full effect. Everybody was there. So
Oh yeah,
it's Caleb time in Chicago, and think it's time for all of us to rally behind him. I think now a lot of people even switched to like maybe we'll take Jaden Daniels. It's Caleb or nobody.
yeah. At this point, you're pretty much right. And there was a lot has come out just recently. I know it's who knows if it's 100% true or not, but the whole thing with him not playing in the bowl game, how he was 50-50 on playing, he was gonna play, but then he
I don't
saw
believe
that,
that.
if there was gonna be a whole bunch of quarterback transfer ins, but no, it could be partially, yeah, he did want his teammate to succeed, but at the same time, too, I'm sure it was an insurance thing. Like, I'm not about to go get hurt in
No
this bowl
way.
game, you know what I'm saying?
Again,
Uh,
I kind of
but
held
it,
that against him a little bit. I don't like it, and that's anybody. I don't like that when any of the players sit on the bowl game because what's one more fucking game? But I can understand when you're going to be the number one pick. That's a lot of money. And I don't believe
well,
for a second the deciding factor was like, I want to help this kid out. I'm guessing it was like one of them, like, okay, made it easier for him to do it. I believe that, where he was going to do it anyway, but that kind of made him feel like at least he was doing it for a good reason. Sure, but none of these guys are sitting out because so their backup can get some shine.
Well, let me ask you this. Kind of shine off the Caleb Williams thing for a minute because that's going to be a lot of this offseason until draft night, April 25th. Let's talk about Marvin Harrison Jr. a little bit. So, a lot of people, yourself included, were giving Caleb a lot of static about, not so much not throwing at his or at the combine because a lot of quarterback prospects don't, but his height, weighing in, height, size, medicals, everything else like that. You'll admit you were one of the biggest, he shouldn't have done that, blah, 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 diva-ish
I agree.
behavior, this, that, the other. Um, but at least he went to his pro day. Marvin Harrison Jr., on the other hand, did everything Caleb did at the combine, didn't weigh in, didn't provide medicals, none of that stuff, and then didn't even go have a pro day. In your opinion, because a lot of people now are saying that a lot of teams have put Malik Neighbors as their wide receiver one in this draft just because of this kind of behavior from Marvin. Does that change his draft stock in your eyes at all? Do you think he falls? If you do think he falls, how far do you think he's going to go?
I'm guessing it might change it in maybe a few teams' eyes. I don't think he goes any farther than like 5 or 6 as the second quarterback taken. Um, you're right. I was hard on him, or well, I won't say hard on. I don't like that either. I think it's very divish. But I will say I don't like a diva quarterback. The wide receiver, I really don't care. They're not the face of the franchise. They're always going to be whining. They're always going to be complaining. So this is just status quo for a you know what I mean, the top end wide. I won't say status quo, but I don't really care if they're a diva. Nobody like Caleb is different when you're the quarterback. Like some of this stuff is like you're not doing it because like my thing with the medicals was like you're not doing it because like his excuse was like I don't want all the teams to have my medicals. Like you're not doing it. Like they're all gonna get it anyway. Like you think like the fucking medical staff for the Bears aren't like they're not buddies with guys on another NFL team's medicals. So like your shit's getting out there, everybody's getting it. So I didn't like that. It just felt like he was doing a little too much when you're the quarterback, especially in Chicago. Cameras getting shoved in your face. You're gonna have to do a lot of things you don't want to do. You're gonna have to say a lot of things you want to say and to start off your NFL career being like, I'm too good for this, I'm too good for that. As a quarterback, I didn't like that. I don't like it as Marvin Harrison Jr. either. Um, and that's a little. I don't understand why I did in the pro. And again, I think this is a little selfish because the pro day. like Marvin Harrison not showing up really shit on a lot of his teammates because if Marvin Harrison works out, everybody's going to be there. So all your guys who are on the cut list might not get drafted. Now nobody shows up. They're not seeing them. You go and work out. All your guys who are there, they're going to get extra eyes. There's going to be more GMs there. So again, I think Marvin Harrison's been very selfish about this. I think he has been from the beginning, but T.O., Randy Moss, you know what I mean? These guys are divas. The wide receivers,
Yeah,
that's
but
just how
they
they are.
but they developed that after very successful years
No,
in
they
the
always
league.
were. It just was unacceptable to do that. I think if back then, if the guys would have, you couldn't really do stuff like that back then. You would get blackballed in the 90s and the early 2000s. You couldn't just be like, oh, I'm not going to work out. I'm better. Like, football isn't all the way to the NBA where it's like a players' league, but it's getting there. In the 90s, basketball and football, it's like coaches league. You can't just do whatever the fuck you're going to want to do and think that the teams they'll put you on a list and um they'll stand together and not let players behave a certain way.
So do you think that it's just because, at least for you, you're stating for you, it's just the positional difference between Marvin Harrison Jr. and Caleb Williams? Because what my thing is, and this is where I'm coming from, is I think it's a little, at least you gave me the, your opinion on it and your side of it that, yeah, you don't want to see it in a quarterback and, it's kind of just wide receiver behavior. But I think that may just be giving excuses and kind of just,
Well, sure, I guess.
giving into the behavior a little bit. But why do you think majority of the people are giving Marvin Harrison a pass for doing everything that Caleb's done, but gone a little bit higher? Is it because they're Justin Fields cultists that, you know what I'm saying? They're more Justin Fields fans than they are Chicago Bears fans per se? Or why do you think there's so much
Probably, I'm guessing.
forgiveness? Because really, I mean, a lot of people on Twitter and everything else like that comments in here, they would all say, well, Marvin Harrison Jr. is the only generational prospect in this draft, this, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah.
I think it's
But they're
because
they're they're
it's
giving him a pass, but they're
now
still being Caleb.
I would say it's probably because he ain't coming to our team, so it don't matter. Maybe now, maybe if he falls to 9, who knows? Like, I just think it's like, who cares now what he does or that it's out of their hand. I don't know, but yeah, it probably is Justin Fields. You know what I mean? Being a fan of Justin Fields, and I'm sure that plays a part of it. I wouldn't say mine was complete like that. Like I've said 100 times, and we've got video proof. I was never a big Caleb guy, so I mean, him taking Justin's job is just icing on the cake. But
Well, that's
um,
the thing is that these videos 4 years from now, when we look back on these videos, because you and I have been on opposite spectrums of this,
yeah,
you've never really been a Caleb guy. I like Caleb Williams. I still think pro prospect wise, if he's coming in, I still like Drake May just because of the size, the arm. He's kind of he's more Josh Allenish to me, but I like Caleb. I don't see what you see in him. So 4 years down the road, when we're taking a look at these videos back, and Caleb's either the best thing since sliced bread, or he's just another Chicago Bears bust. We're gonna find out who's gonna win that argument.
I don't think I will say this. I don't think in any universe Caleb's going to be a huge bust. I think what I've always saw in him was a Lincoln Riley quarterback. I think he'll be somewhere in the range of Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray, maybe slightly better than Kyler. And Kyler's not bad. Kyler's, you know what I mean. If he plays the whole year, got the weapons, he'll probably be top 10. And I'm guessing Caleb will be something like that too. Um, a lot of the Justin Fields haters have kind of like brought their excuses out for Caleb. I know we talked about it where like I think playoffs is a bare minimum, rookie or not. Um, and they're like, oh, well, as long as he does, you know what I mean, throws for more yards than Justin did, then you know what I mean, who cares? And it's like, I don't know. We're not, like, if that's the case, then we started the rebuild over. And I don't
Yeah,
think
I
we're
mean,
in
and
that
I was
position.
one of those. I was one of those people that I realistically said that I expect playoffs,
Yes.
because it's overall as a roster, not just the quarterback play,
Yeah.
but overall that's a playoff roster.
Yeah, that's what
I
I'm
mean,
saying. But with a
Ryan,
mediocre quarterback, we throw Ryan Tannehill there, we probably make the playoffs. So
yeah, and see that's the thing is that now having DJ Moore and Keenan Allen, and we talked last week about how we were gonna bring up our mock drafts this week, right?
yeah,
We're not gonna pop them up on the screen, but
yeah.
I have an idea for my first few picks. But realistically, you take a look at the roster that Ryan Poles has built. So I personally feel that the starting center is going to be Ryan Bates. You don't trade a fifth round pick for a young offensive lineman without the expectation that he's probably going into camp
Yeah, they
as
signed the other guy too.
starter.
So
Yeah, exactly. So they have upgraded a little bit. They put some depth on that offensive line. The Keenan Allen trade, granted, he's 32 years old. He hasn't really had a healthy season. He's only played in all 17 games 3 times in his career, and that was like 17, 18, and 19. But they have a 1,200-yard Keenan Allen. They got
he got
DJ
that in
Moore.
like 13 games too. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Cole Kmet. And the Gerald Everett signing, I think that's very underrated. Gerald Everett is not a bad tight end by any
No,
means. He's a huge
he's a
upgrade,
mismatch nightmare.
yeah, over what they had. Um, and Shane Waldron likes to run a lot of two tight end sets, which is why I don't. This is why this has convinced me now. And we'll get to that, my reasoning. And then you take a look at the defense. Granted, they don't have that end opposite Montez Sweat, but they're expecting Javon Dexter to step up. They did lose a little bit of depth on that defensive line when Justin Jones signed to Arizona. Like I said, they did not sign a bookend defensive end opposite Montez Sweat, but they have some rotational pieces, some guys in there. And then, of course, the secondary. We talk about the secondary. The signing of, Byard from where I forgot where he played that last, but he was a Pro
Philly.
Bowler.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a Pro Bowler in Tennessee. We got Jalen Johnson back. We got Tyreek Stevenson and Kyler Gordon, and they're all great. So, with that being said, that's a playoff roster. I think you have convinced me as of right now, number one pick, Caleb Williams. And with the ninth overall pick, I don't think they trade down because I think Joe Walt will be there. If he is there, I really think the Bears should take him because how often you can always find wide receiver depth later on in the draft. We've seen it all over the league. Great wide receivers have been taken later in the first round, even fourth, fifth round. Puka Nacua was a fifth-round rookie. Stephon Diggs was a fourth-round pick. You can find those guys. They're easier to find franchise wide receivers later on in the draft than it is
And we set
franchise
up a
left.
decent wide receiver room too, where you come in young, you learn a little bit of something. And
Yeah.
you kind of have a little, gotta have, I mean, I didn't like how Tyler Scott played last year, but you gotta have a little faith that maybe he gets better a little bit. I
Well,
mean,
that's the
they
thing
only
is
need him to be a three. They don't need him to be a one or two. So
exactly because, like I said, they run a lot of two tight end sets. So I think wide receivers may be something they address later on in the draft, or maybe they sign like another veteran wide receiver or something. Dante Pettis is back on the roster, but how often do you have an opportunity in the same draft to draft a franchise quarterback and a franchise left tackle?
yes, I think, and again,
You just you
I'm not a big Notre Dame guy, but Joe Alt reminds me a lot of like, and it's high thing, but he just reminds me of Joe Thomas a little bit. I think he's I know Joe Thomas was the number one overall pick, but it was just a different draft. There was no Caleb Williams, there was no Jaden Daniels. So, but I just think he's really, really good. And if Caleb's the pick, the Bears need to stop tiptoeing around fixing the offensive line. They did it with Darnell Wright last year. We should do it again. It's similar to the quarterback where we got these guys in rookie contracts because you got to pay tackles. I mean, tackles are
yes,
getting so I mean, not the same, but money wise, it's similar to a quarterback. We're drafting a nice young guy who's going to pay for the low. And that if at 9, that's who I want. I want to see there. And after watching a little bit of tape, I think Dallas Turner. Um, I just think he's a playmaker, and I think we need some. I mean, my Sweat is as well, but I just think again a premium position, blue chip position. There isn't anybody in free agency to go. There's not going to be anybody to trade for. It's like we're not going to be able to get any help at the end. Like you said, later in the draft and get some wide receiver help. You know what I mean? There's fucking guys in free agency we can go. I mean, there's like Juice Landry. You know what I mean? There's things we could go do. That just you're not going to get somebody like Joe Alton. You're definitely not going to get anybody like Dallas Turner. I just don't see them getting another wide receiver or even a tight end just because we just got Keenan Allen and he is a Hall of Famer. You can only even I know we plan on throwing a lot more and having a quarterback with 4,000 yards, but there's only so many full. Let's say we're thinking DJ Moore is going to get 1,000, Keenan Allen's going to get 1,000, give Komet 800. You know what I mean? There's only so many balls. What are we going to waste the top pick on somebody who's going to get 600 passing yards?
yeah, and like I said, there's a lot of deep talent at wide receiver this year.
Yeah,
And like I said, it's easier to find a franchise wide receiver in the later rounds than it is to
and you
find an
don't need
offensive
a
lineman.
franchise wide receiver.
You
So it's
don't.
like yeah, so you need we've always the Bears have always tiptoed around the offensive line. Every now and then they leap up, but we need to get a solid tackle, and I like Joe Walt. I don't really like the kid from Penn State. I know he's got all the measurables and all that, but I don't know. I think Joe Walt's much better than him. I think if he's there, you take him. If he's not there, Dale Stern. If either one of them are not there, I'd say fall back and let the cards fall where they may. Um, we've been reading. You talked about it last week. It's still reporting Minnesota wants to come up to get JJ McCarthy. Um, I've been arguing with a lot of people on him. A lot of the JJ McCarthy thing is so weird because not you in particular, but if you've been on the message boards, you've been anywhere, Bleacher Report, any chat room, we've all seen it. 10-28. Justin Fields is 10-28, and it's like you're like, oh, I was like, oh, I like JJ McCarthy because he's a winner, and then everyone's like, well, that doesn't matter. Like, I don't think I think JJ McCarthy gets a bad rap because they didn't throw that much, but that doesn't mean he cannot make the throws. It was like we saw it in Tom Brady. Tom Brady was a game manager for what, 7 years, 6 years.
His first 4 or 5 years in the league, he was not the Tom Brady that would throw for 5,000 yards. He was
Yes,
legitimate a game. If you take a
who
look
was
at his
clutch.
stats,
He was a
the
game
first
manager
yeah
who was clutch, and
yeah
that's fine. That's fine.
exactly.
But as somebody who watches almost every single snap of Michigan, especially during JJ McCarthy's tenure, he makes the big throws when you need him to on third down,
Well, yeah, I
and
was gonna
that's
say
what's important.
he's the best third down quarterback in college football, bar none, and it's not even close.
Yeah. And like
It's not even close.
that's the stuff that like gets a little overlooked. So I like I was always harping keep Justin, draft JJ, and if you know what I mean, throw Justin. If he doesn't work out, you move on. I think JJ would do good for a year under his belt. I think if he goes to Minnesota, he's not going to get that courtesy. Unless I said maybe they go out and get who they trade for. Who did Minnesota trade for? I can't remember now.
Who last year?
This year, the quarterback, who do they have? Or they Sam Darnold? That's who it was.
Yeah, it was Sam Darnold. They
Maybe,
signed him.
but we'll see. I want to see where JJ goes, but
Sam Darnold's definitely going to be the starting quarterback next year.
I don't
Even
know.
if they draft a rookie, I really think so. Sam, because he's
Depends
just,
what rook. I don't know. It's
I
like if they
really
get
think.
Bo Nix, you're really gonna like Bo Nix is the same age as Sam Darnold. Damn near, you're gonna sit him behind fucking Sam Darnold. Like
I mean, you could
I'm
realistically
guessing
learn
it.
the speed.
Honestly, it'll probably be up to Justin Jefferson if I had to guess. Um,
Well, there's a lot. We talk about Minnesota and we talk about JJ McCarthy and all this. There's a lot of talk. I've read some ridiculous rumor somewhere that Pittsburgh is open to flat out releasing Russell Wilson if he
that
doesn't
wasn't a
play
ridiculous
well.
rumor. Schefter said that.
Did Schefter say that?
He said that on McAfee, I think. I don't know. He was
Okay.
on somewhere, but Schefter
Because
said that.
realistically, that's why we talk about Justin being a good fit for Pittsburgh and Ryan Poles kind of doing right by him. I mean, Ryan Poles did say he was going to do what was right by it. I will say, like I said, he's been anything if not consistent. He said he was going to do the right thing. That was the best situation for Justin to go to, and that's where he took less for that to put Justin in that position. And realistically, a lot of people, not just myself, I, I personally think Justin Fields can win that job over Russell Wilson.
I said it last
Russell
week.
Wilson, I think
I
he's
don't think
very.
well, just they don't have any time, but they both have the same amount of time in the building. I think it's going to be who wins the locker room over faster, and I just think that'll be Justin. They got George Pickens, they got these young wide receivers, they got a young team now, um, and I think he's just going to win them over. I think they're based on the last couple years of play. I think you'll get similar out. Like I don't think 100% one of them gets you more wins than the other. I just think Justin's got that upside that we've all saw and that maybe I myself I'll say I was enamored with it. I don't know. I don't know what it was. Like I for whatever reason, like I never felt that with Mitch as much as I made excuses for him, even more so with Jay Cutler. I just for some reason I think Justin never showcased everything he could showcase. Um, but I do think he's going to win that job in Pittsburgh. And like I said before, I think the Bears, in some levels, will regret the move just because of how much we probably could have got. But it's Caleb's time now, and I'm trying to get on the horse. I want the Bears to win, so I mean I have no choice but to root for Caleb. And like I said, I just reserve the right to say I told you so.
Well, then let me ask you this: pre-draft, we are 1 month and 2 days away from the first round. Bears, obviously, the whole waiting thing for when everybody knows that it's probably going to be most likely going to be Caleb Williams. I just don't know why we can't, why
Sometimes
they
they
may,
do, like the Joe Thomas one.
you know,
They said out before, or
yeah,
no, maybe not Joe Thomas. Jake Long. It was. They said like a week
yeah,
before
yeah,
that's who
yeah,
they were
yeah.
taking.
Um, but So April 25th, as of right now, Caleb Williams probably most likely the number one overall pick. Whoever the ninth overall pick is going to be for the Bears, or if they trade down or whatever. Out of the 16 teams in the NFC, pre-draft right now after free agency, where are you power ranking the Chicago Bears?
Oh, guess I'd have to have us third in the division. Um,
I mean, if you want to run through the teams real quick, we can do that
I'm trying to.
earlier. Yeah,
We'll go. What? Cowboys won. Or
we're
no,
gonna go.
Niners won. Niners won. Niners, Cowboys, Eagles,
All right, so I'm gonna run through the teams real quick. You tell me which
Packers.
ones, if you think, are better than the Chicago Bears. You ready?
Yeah,
San Francisco 49ers,
obviously they're better. Obviously,
Philadelphia Eagles,
yeah, I'll say they're better right now.
Detroit Lions,
Yeah, I have to say they're better.
Green Bay Packers,
Yeah, for now.
Minnesota Vikings,
No, obviously no.
Seattle Seahawks,
No, they're not better.
the Los Angeles Rams,
No, they're not better. Not without Aaron Donald. No.
the Atlanta Falcons,
Yes, they're better.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers,
Yeah, they're better.
New Orleans Saints,
No,
the New York Giants,
no,
the Washington Commanders,
no,
the Carolina Panthers,
no,
Arizona Cardinals,
no.
Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah,
So you have them ranked pretty much ninth ish. So
yeah,
out of 16 teams, you have them right there in the middle of the NFC. And I think realistically, that's about the right spot for them
yeah. And
because
there's a couple of them. Like, let's say if Caleb is legitimately a 4,000 yard passer, we're better than the Packers. If he's legitimately a 4,000 yard passer, I think we might be better than the Lions. Um, Same with the Falcons. Um, the only ones I would say 100% sure are Niners, Cowboys, Eagles, where I don't think at any point in time, unless there's a major injury, the Bears are going to be better than them. Everyone else, like I said, Packers, Lions, Falcons, Bucks, they're one small injury away. And if Caleb's truly him, or at least if, like I said, if he's a 4,000 yard passer, then I'm saying I think the Bears are in are a top seven, top 5 to 7 NFC team.
yeah, because ninth's kind of playoff fringe. It really is
Yes,
when you think
yeah,
about it, because the top seven teams make the playoffs. So
yeah,
nine is fringe. And like I said, I agree with you. If Caleb Williams is even 75% of what we expect him to be his rookie season, the
we should
Bears
be.
should be
Yeah,
the seventh best team at least in the NFC. And you're right. There's a couple of teams there, Tampa Bay being one, where they might just sneak in because of the weakness of the division. But I don't
yeah,
think it's going to be that easy this year because Atlanta's gotten a lot better.
yeah,
Kirk Cousins is a big factor for Atlanta. They already
yeah.
had a really good defense, and now they have a quarterback who can distribute. Kyle Pitts,
Guaranteed, gonna get them. Yeah, 20
you know what I'm
plus
saying?
points a game,
And
4,000 yards.
realistically, I think the Darnell Mooney signing is very underrated for Atlanta as well because
Oh,
Darnell he's not. It's not like he's horrible. He's not a number one wide receiver by any means, but he doesn't have to be there. He can be the Robin to Drake London's Batman. And I'm not saying
oh
Drake
yeah.
London
I mean, he's all right.
much.
What I would say is just I don't know. I mean, Mooney's okay. I think he's just a guy like Steve Smith will say. I mean, no hard feelings against him. I don't think he's tilting the tide, but I do think he'll have a good year with Kirk Cousins because they're going to sling it.
Absolutely,
What
absolutely.
I'm saying, like you could plug in a bunch of guys in that with Kirk Cousins in the offense and would replicate what Darnell Mooney's about to do. But yes, I do think the Falcons will. I'm guessing. I'm honestly, if I had to bet now, I'd say the Falcons win the division, barring an injury. I like Baker. But the Bucks are they're just old and just weird built team. No running back, weird defense. Um,
You don't like Zadir White.
he's all right.
But yeah, I mean, looking into realistically what we just expect to be a very action-packed first round of the first night of the NFL draft. Bears have two picks. I don't. It's been a while since the Bears have had two first-round picks like that, especially in the top 10. It's just
I mean,
very exciting.
ever. Well,
Yeah, we just don't know what's going to happen. It's very unexpected. Like I said, you so far as of right now, you've convinced me that Joe Walt would be the best pick. You might as well just line up the whole rookie quarterback and rookie left tackle thing. how often do you have the opportunity to draft a franchise tackle and a franchise quarterback in the same draft?
And
It's
and no, and that's no slight
almost
against Braxton
unprecedented.
Jones. I think he's good. I think he's just moving the guard. I think he can play. I think he's a very good offensive lineman. I just don't think he's left tackle. And he's very serviceable. And if we had to play a whole nother year with him there, it'd probably be just fine. But I just think Joe
Well,
Walt
we
is
took. That's the thing is that the people who are saying, oh well, we're taking Caleb as a an upgrade to a quarterback who played okay, he was
yes.
mediocre. And same could be said for Braxton Jones. He's not a high level, high tier guy. He's very serviceable, just like Justin was. But realistically, if you have the opportunity to upgrade at that position, which is probably the second most important position on offense besides your quarterback, why wouldn't you do it?
And
And you
Darnell
have an
Wright was very
opportunity.
good. And it's one of Caleb's qualities is if you give him a whole bunch of time, he can really do some crazy shit. So, and DJ Moore and Keenan Allen are very good at becoming targets for the quarterback. And like I said, if we're going to do this the right way, I think you set Caleb up for the best success. You take Joel. I don't think he'll be.
Absolutely.
I don't think he'll be there, but I do. I just if Joel's not there, and maybe Dallas Turner, I say you just fall back, try and hope to get a second, in some way, because from picks like 10 to 15, I think so fall back somewhere like that, maybe even like 17, 18. I think still think we'll get decent quality. Verse might fall, Turner. There's a couple guys. Or maybe you do take a wide receiver if you have to at that point if everybody else gets drafted up. But I see Poles likes to make moves. He likes to wheel and deal, so I see him falling back. I don't, and like I said, I don't know. I don't know how much he likes Joe Walt. I don't. Did Notre Dame have their pro day yet? I don't know.
Yeah, they did. And Chris Morgan, the Bears offensive line coach, ran it.
Okay. Oh wow. So that's interesting. I did not know that.
Yes.
I know they were all out at the Michigan pro day, but there's like fucking 18 prospects there. So that'll be interesting. I wonder how many Harbaugh drafts. That'll be funny. He's got his defensive coordinator, and there's like I think 12 defender or 10 or 11 defenders from their defense in the draft. A couple of guys I really like. The Bears don't really need any, so we'll see. I honestly think Blake Corum would be great, but I guess we have Herbert, so it doesn't matter.
We
Um,
got Herbert, Swift, and Roshan
yeah.
Johnson.
So we'll see. I like Roman Wilson too if he's there in like the third. I don't know if he'll last that long. I think he would be a great little nickel if we were going to go slot wide receiver late in the draft. But a lot of moving parts. People are saying something that Washington might trade the pick back. If I'm them, I definitely would. I mean, if you ain't getting Caleb, I'd fall back to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and whatever quarterback falls to me there. I'm not as high on Drake May. Said I got PTSD from
Mitchell
Mitch.
Trubisky. You
I
got
don't know
the
about Jaden Daniels either. I think him and Penix, I mean, and this might even have been Justin Fields too. They played with really good wide receivers. We're getting a lot of one-on-one coverage, so it makes the running lanes for him real good, and he's just getting a lot of favorable matchups. And you just throw it to the guy who's in one-on-one. Whoever's getting doubled, you don't throw it there. A lot of easy reads, um, and that worries me because, like I said, I don't think Penix is going to be that good. He's injury prone. And you saw in one game against the NFL type of defense what they're going to run against you in the NFL. A lot of the time, it wasn't working. It didn't look
no.
like. And I love Michigan. You see, I'm rocking my shirt today, and you'll see in the draft they have a lot of players in the draft, but they're all going to be like day three guys. They're just well coached kids, but they're not super talented, like super at like you're playing Bama and they got a bunch of fucking 5 stars with super recruits. And they were just out schemed. And I think that I honestly think Bo Nix will be better than Penix. I think he's just got a little more game manager in him. It looks a little higher paced at Oregon because they get a lot of rack, but he's got a lot of dink and dunk in him, and I think it'll work. But Penix likes to sling it, and there just ain't going to be that time in the NFL, and you're not going to be playing with three wide receivers that are better than every corner on the other team.
Yeah.
Um, so we'll see. And like I've been watching a lot of Caleb tape, and he has been growing on me. It's like I don't get too hyped up on highlight tapes, but he does do a lot of Josh Allen, Mahomesian type of things. Some things I think I wish Justin would have done more. And he's gonna have Keenan. He's gonna have DJ Moore. Cole Kmet seems to get better and better each year, which is great. And I guess I'm getting more and more excited for the year to come. I think, but I'm still wondering what the hell Poles is going to do. There's still moves to be made. He's still got money he has to spend, and I don't know if it's going to be via trade or what. But we still need to. I don't want to be done moving. I don't want to like. We're still like we said. We just talked. I had him at 9. We're still a fringe team. You could still go out and do something to get us off the fucking fringe.
Yeah, I agree. In terms of the money not spent, you got a couple extensions that are coming up that you might want to save a little bit of money for, but realistically, it just all depends on one, if Tevin Jenkins can stay healthy, that's going to be an extension candidate. You got Jaquan Brisker coming up. He's going to be an extension candidate. Kyler Gordon's going to be an extension candidate. So some of these guys you do have to, maybe set aside a little money for, maybe do some planning.
I think
I
Tevin
don't know.
Jenkins really just, unless he literally plays every single game and is an All Pro, he's really not doesn't have any leverage. I like him and I would love to keep him, but there's no way if Poles lets Tevin Jenkins hold him hostage, there's a fucking problem. And I like Tevin, but the kid's played like 6 games every year.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so like I said, unless he plays all 17 plus the playoff game and is a damn near all pro player, I don't really see how he can come to the table banking on anything. You pick up his 5th year option if that's the case, and he just had a kid, he might sign a team friendly deal. I'm assuming he'll want to move. Would be my guess, but we'll see. But some of these guys, Brisker, you don't got to pay the safety that much. And like I understand that that's what Poe's going to do, but if we're going to win, you're not worried about that shit. You got to sign people. We got to pay people. That's just how it is. It sucks. You want to be cost efficient, but I just you can't always be running the team like a business because you're not going to win. Because if you could just buy it, if you could just X's and O's and best cost efficient and like I said, it would be much easier to build a winning team. You wouldn't need a Caleb, you wouldn't need a Mahomes, you wouldn't need these guys if it was a get the money right and it's gonna work thing. So I
Absolutely.
want him to go out and get somebody like a DN, honestly, if there's one to trade for. Again, we thought it was gonna be one of the guys from the Chargers, but they made all that money work, got rid of their wide receivers instead of their I guess that is smarter instead of the DNs, but um oh yeah, we didn't get Chase Young. I'm honestly, it's been a story for a year that we wanted Daniil Hunter, and it's like if you knew we were moving on from fucking Justin, I don't know how we don't go get Daniil Hunter. I just don't like that move. I don't care if you wanted to go home, you give him a little bit more money and tell him, hey, you don't have to move this far. Um, and yeah, I really wanted Daniil Hunter. I think that then I would have put us up in like the top 5 teams, even with mediocre quarterback play. I just think we would have been scary to play.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's just we'll get some more answers in about a month. We'll kind of really figure out where the roster holes are and everything else like that. We'll see what Ryan Poles has up his sleeve. So
And
we'll
maybe
definitely
next
be
week
talking
we'll
about
do
it.
our for sure mock drafts. This week, I like I said this. I don't know. I got a lot going on. You just see all these kids over here, but I do need to sit down and do want to really think about it. But
We'll do a 3 round
yeah,
next
something
week
quick.
on PFF.
But all right, not too long this week. Not much happened. And we'll get back at it next week. I'll see you next week, buddy.
I'll see you
Adios.
next
Like,
week.
follow, subscribe, please. I forgot to say that.
Comments, because the
Yes.
comments have been very, very, very good.
We have been. But all right,
I love
adios.
arguing with you guys on the YouTube comments. I really do.
Yeah.
It's the highlight of my day. I go through it probably 3 or 4 times a week. I pick out a couple of comments that I absolutely despise, and then I respond to them in a very selfish and kind of mean response. But hey, it happens.
All right. Adios. See you next week.
Adios.